friends, welcome to the Blue Wagon. I'm Melissa, the Blue Wagon Stitcher, and it's been a little while. I am back from my trip. So we had a fantastic 3 weeks. My family and I took a cross-country trip, so I will tell you all about this. But first, welcome in. This is my channel, mostly about cross-stitching at this point, and a few other crafty things mixed in now and then. But welcome. And I will be sharing some works in progress, some finishes, some starts, and of course, my cart hoppers from visiting Missouri Star Quilt Company on my trips. And about my adventures. So we'll go ahead and jump in and get started. I have 4 children. My oldest is married and was not able to come with us. When you're an adult and you have to do adult things, it's hard to take 3 weeks off of work and school at that stage in her life and come with us. So they were super disappointed, but unfortunately couldn't come. But this trip was mostly my second daughter's senior trip. She just graduated high school in May, and we left the day after school ended, the end of May. Our school here in our area of Idaho ends the week before Memorial Day. So Friday before Memorial Day was our last day of school. My husband is a school teacher. I am a former school teacher and now teach at the university level and teach pre-service teachers. And so that is a wonderful, nice thing about being a teacher is we do have very flexible summers. Usually I actually teach the summer session at university, but this year I was able to take a bit of a break. I'm on a sort of a sabbatical this semester, which gave us the flexibility to do it at this time. So we took a cross-country tour across from Idaho all the way to New York. We went to Niagara Falls, and basically we took the pioneer trails of the late 1800s and did a bit of a history tour backwards of those pioneer expeditions. And so we stopped at several places in Wyoming, and then all of those Midwestern states, Illinois, Missouri, so many states, I can't remember them all. But so we just went along that path. We went to Erie Lake, and we were able to go to a beach on the Erie Lake. And like I said, we visited Niagara Falls. We got to do the Maid of the Mist. I think that's Maid of the Mist, yeah. And then we came down the coast a little bit. We drove past the White House. We had plans to do a few more things along the coast, but folks, I am here to testify, don't skimp on your hotels. Yes, we had a bed bug incident. So, when you're staying 15 days in hotels, that racks up a lot when you're spending $200 a night for, a nicer hotel. So I had started looking at some more of the budget hotels. So our first 2 nights we stayed in Marriott hotels of some sort or flavor of another. And then after I had booked those 2, I got on Expedia and then booked some more budget ones for the rest of our trip. And this was all planned out ahead, so we knew where we were stopping and everything. We got to our first budget hotel, and it was okay. It wasn't, super clean. It was okay. It was survivable and it was fine. We're like, okay, we can do, if they're all this kind of caliber, we can do it. Our second hotel we went to was less clean. The tub was all rusted out, like patches of rust all over the bathtub. And it just did not give vibes or trust that it was very clean. Again, we survived, we did okay. The third of our budget hotel, so we're into night 5 now. We go in, and this hotel, we had actually done 2 rooms because we couldn't find anywhere that had beds for 5 of us. And it wasn't expensive enough that I went ahead and did 2 rooms at this hotel. And with some hope, you know, for a mid-trip hubby and I night to ourselves without the kids in our hotel room. And folks, my husband and I are sitting, we just sat in the room. We just got our bags up there. We're sitting there chatting, you know, just decompressing from the day. And my husband looks over at the other bed and is like, I think there's a bug. He pulls back the covers and sees like 5 bugs crawling on the sheets in the mattress of the bed. So we immediately went next door to our kids, said, pack up your stuff, we're leaving, went down to the office, told the gentleman, and he didn't seem all that surprised that we had discovered bugs in our bedroom. He was nice enough and said they would refund us and everything. We packed up our things and right away scheduled for Spring Hill Suites Marriott, which we found was right around the corner. And we spent the rest of our nights at Spring Hill or Fairfield Marriott hotels. That was scare enough to be done with our budget hotels and pay the extra money and be done. But because of that, we cut our trip a little bit short. My parents live in North Carolina, which was one of the main reasons that we wanted to do this trip. Take our time to go across and see some sights, and then stay a week at my parents and then come back. So called my mom and said we're going to come a few days early. So instead of coming Wednesday night, we ended up at my parents' Monday night. And so we cut out a few of those sites. We wanted to see more in Pennsylvania and DC and thought we'll just have to save that for another trip and do another trip focused on that area rather than trying to combine it with our Pioneer trip as well. And then we also ended up returning 2 days early. And so that was great. The kids had enough. We were done. But it was lovely to see the sights and to learn some history. So we had a lovely trip. Unfortunately, because it was a family trip and because it was my daughter's senior trip, we did not stop for mom's personal privileges to stop at stitching shops along the way, which was heartbreaking for me. I was so close to Keepsakes in Ohio, just about an hour out of the way. But instead of going to Keepsakes, my daughter wanted to go to Buc-ee's. So we dipped down into Kentucky, an hour out of our way, instead of dipping north into Ohio to Keepsakes to appease her desires, which is totally fine. It was her trip. So I was happy to do that, but another time. But I did take one personal privilege to visit Missouri Star Quilt Company, which I have wanted to visit for a long time, at least 10 years, if not more. I'm not even sure how long they've had their shops there, but for sure at least 10 years. It has been on my bucket list to visit Missouri Star Quilt Company shops in Missouri. So I was able to do that. And so I'll share that with you. But let's start now with my stitching. Get to why many of you are here, probably. So I did start this, and I don't think I showed this. I think I started this after my last, but if I did, indulge me and you get to see it again, okay? So this is a start of my thread's covering it. It's the Honeybee Sampler by Pansy Patch Quilts. So there's that, and many are stitching it right now. There is a stitch along that 3 gals are doing. I think it's who's doing it? I think Nicole Spore, I think, and Como Stitches, and there's I can't think of the third one. But if you just hashtag Bee Sampler Sal, Honeybee Sampler Sal, and you'll find the ladies who are doing that. Even if you go to my Instagram, it's one of my latest posts, Blue Wagon Stitcher on Instagram, and you can find it, and I've tagged those ladies in my post about my start. So here is my start. I think that's right side up. I started with the bee. That was the middle, the wing of the bee. And so that's where I've started, and that's how far I've gotten. I got really caught up in this. I'm like right here, I think. Anyway, the patriotic stitching really called to me the last few weeks, and so I started this so it would be started mid-May, but I stitched on it just a little bit more, but I don't have a great start on that. But my bee stitching is what I'd like to do next after my patriotic stitching. I spent most of my trip. Now folks, stitching in the car is a lot more difficult than I thought it was. Just for me, I do get car sick, and so I can't read or do things like that in the car. And sometimes I can't even like watch on my phone. If I am listening to, you know, a video, YouTube or something, I have to listen to it. I can't watch it. And so I hoped that stitching would be different, and in some ways it was, and in some ways it was the same. So I stitched on the American Celebration by Primrose Cottage. That was my car stitch that I brought. And I had chosen to stitch this on 20 count, is it? I have it right here. Yeah, 20 count mushroom. So I chose Ada for this. I am finding that I like to do primroses patterns on an Ada. They are simple stitches and they're usually small, and Ada, I don't have to worry about the counting over 2. So I can just stitch it. But I like the small count Ada, the 18 and 20 count, and I really like this 20 count mushroom Ada that I stitched this on. And so I did start and finish this, and I haven't ironed it yet, but by next time I'm with you, this should be all framed and ready for my my decor. My entry table decorations. I wanted this. I didn't have much in the way of patriotic stitching or display items, and so I just went to town and just got this done. And it was so perfect for the car because I didn't have to count over 2. The squares are big enough that I could see them, but it was much more slow going than I wanted it to be. I had hoped to get this done, and I'll show you in just a minute. I did the primrose quilt, patriotic quilt, and also I wanted to get started on their freebie, their June freebie. I didn't get that far because this was slow going, just because I would get sick. So there's my finish of American Celebration by Primrose Cottage. So excited to have that done. So then after that, I finished that like the second to last day, and I started, like I said, the red, white, and blue quilt by Primrose Cottage. And I have that started here. So it's going pretty well. I've got all of the red done. I'm stitching this by color. That was easier than to try to switch out colors. You can see I've got the blue about halfway done, and I should be finished up today or tomorrow on that. I just have the white and the rest of that blue to stitch, and it will be lovely. We'll put that into a pillow really quick and easily and have a finish there. Okay, the other thing that I worked on very briefly in the car is English paper piecing. I am brand new to English paper piecing, and so I gave it a try. Again, this was actually even more difficult for me to do in the car. I think, I don't know why. The small stitches, I honestly, I'm not sure why, but I got this much done, and I think it looks pretty good. This line of fabric is called Farmstead, and I can't remember the maker, but if you look up Farmstead, you'll find it. Really cute. My plan for this is to do a panel of the hexies and then make it into a project bag. So it's this line of fabric I really wouldn't necessarily recommend generally for English paper piecing. The patterns and things on it, I don't know if you can see, there's a lovely farm here that I tried to make as my center. So this is really my center, and then I'm putting these around the edges there. Isn't real great for the size of hexagons or for the style, I guess. But I like just seeing the snippets, and it'll be a project bag, so it's not a big deal, and just getting the idea of paper piecing. So again, I don't know what it was, just about the focus and the concentration with the stitching, but for some reason the English paper piecing, actually I had a more difficult time in getting car sick than I did with my other stitching. But I've got to start, so that is fantastic. I really wanted, Missouri Star Quilt Company came out recently with an English paper piecing kit, which comes in a really nice bag that has all of these pockets and zippers and pouches to organize your English paper piecing in, with some beginner tools and things. And I was hoping to pick it up while I was there. I had kind of put off purchasing it. And apparently everyone else wants a kit too, and everyone else is doing English paper piecing because they were completely out. They said they were out at all their stores and out at the warehouse when I was there. Like, kicking myself. I should have gotten it when they first introduced it. It was way on sale, like $20 off or something. And then I put it off, and I thought, well, I'm going, so I'll get it there, and then I won't have to pay for shipping. Well, that's what happens when you put popular things off. So eventually I hope to get that English paper piecing kit, but I've made my own little kit. I think I showed that on my last live. I made this little pouch, and it's got this clear vinyl front where I've put my tools. And then, of course, you know, you've got your main pouch. I put like my threads in there. And then I got magnets to hold your papers with your needles. So that's all in there. So I've made up my own little kit. All right, so that is the extent of my stitching and my whips and things. Again, because I had planned to do much more, but it just didn't happen while driving. So it is what it is. But again, I have much more flexibility now and to be home. We have some yard projects to do after being gone for 3 weeks, but generally I'm looking forward to having much more stitching time for the rest of the summer. So let's move into my cart hoppers. My first are some things that I got in the mail while I was away. They're all from Primrose. So I had ordered their Sip and Stitch box, and I ordered the items for their Free Stitch Friday, which came out last week or the week before. So the Free Stitch pattern for, it must have come out the week before. It's the first Thursday of the month. So you need to subscribe to the Primrose Cottage newsletter, and on the first Thursday of every month in their cross-stitch newsletter, they send out a free cross-stitch pattern. And they're good patterns, folks. They're not just, you know, a simple little freebie. They're like the caliber of their quilts and their Quakers, right? And so that came out, but I didn't have things. So anyway, so here's my Free Stitch Friday pack. I got the 16 count Aida again. That they didn't have the higher counts of Aida, so I just got the highest count of Aida they had to stitch it on. So this was 16 count dirty, and then it came with the threads and this needle minder. And I keep them all in the packet until I'm ready to stitch. Keep it all together. I'm gonna pull this out after this video and use it on my patriotic quilt that I'm stitching. I've been waiting to show you all that before I unpackaged it and started using it. So they offer these sets for their Free Stitch Fridays every month. So watch their Flosstubes and get on their newsletter list so you can see them. And they're really economical because they come with just the amount you need. So they usually come with the floss, and you can choose what fabric you want of the choices they give you, of course. And then some little surprise. We've got needle minders, we've gotten bag pulls, stickers, always a little extra something when you order the kit that they put together for that Free Friday. So there's my Free Friday cross stitch from Primrose Cottage. And then I ordered their Sip and Stitch. And these have been shown and shared, so maybe I know I'm late to the party, but some lovely patriotic patterns. So this one is America, My Home Sweet Home. We'll do a close-up there so you can see the item there. Okay, and then there's this other one, God Bless America. Do it far first so you can see that, and there's the close so you can see. And then there was a bonus chart that I can't show you. Actually, maybe I can if I put my hand over this. This little bonus chart here came, hopefully that's focused, came on the back of their packing list. So they always have a nice packing list to tell you what you should expect in your box. And then on the back of this one came a third cute little chart, 1776. So those were the charts that came in the box. And then a beautiful set of stickers. I love the stickers Primrose does. They're fantastic. I've got to just use them. You know, you get stickers and you're like, oh no, if I use them, but that's what they're meant to do, is to be used. So also in the Sip and Stitch came these fun zipper pulls. So cute. And then floss drops. So again, I'm excited to actually use these now that I'm home and can use them. Then we got the floss for all of those charts, all DMC. Their Sip and Stitches generally are DMC. And then some recipe cards that came in with it, and then the finishing items for all of those charts. So pretty great deal. They also gave a 30-ounce tumbler with a cute little, I think it was red, white, and I don't know what it said. I won't try. But it was cute, a little play on the red, white, and blue with a stitching phrase that I have been using and was going to bring with me and didn't, but others have shared it. So just look up Sip and Stitch or go to Primrose Cottage, their video from last week, and they showcased that. And yeah, so that's the Sip and Stitch from Primrose Cottage. And then also, I didn't put this in, but I did grab some additional fabrics, anticipating the Sip and Stitch patterns. So these came with my Friday freebie. I got 20 count mushroom and then 18 count dirty. So mushroom and dirty, 18 count and 20 count. Again, in anticipation that I plan to use for my Sip and Stitch items. Okay, are you ready? All right, this next part is my haul from Missouri Star Quilt Company. So at this point, you've seen the cross-stitching stuff mostly, I think. So if the quilting or fabrics aren't your thing, but I would love for you to stay and share in my excitement of visiting Missouri Star. So the shirt I'm wearing right now, let's see if I suffer from RSF, resting stitch face. And my husband found this one and picked it out for me at the Missouri Star main shop. They had, have lots of quilting things. He's like, this is perfect. This goes with you without all the things that you stitch. So I had to wear this shirt today. Thought it was so cute and so fun. So that is one of my items from Missouri Star. And I'm just going to take them out of my bag here as I go. Folks, if you're a quilter, a crafter in any way, it's just such an experience. We happened to be there when they were doing their academy. So they do a 2-day summer academy in June where they offer classes and things. And I didn't realize that this was going on at the same time we were visiting, but it was. And so it was a little extra exciting there with all the ladies visiting for these classes. But there are, I don't want to give the number, there's many shops, right? They're all there in the same couple of blocks together, all themed. You can go to the Missouri Star Quilt Company shop. There's a link like plan a visit. There's a map there, and there's information about all of the shops that give you all of the details and some pictures from the shops. And just so fun. My kids were amazing. So I mentioned my second daughter just graduated as a senior, so she's 18. And then we have 2 boys, a 14-year-old and a 9-year-old. You can imagine, especially for the 14-year-old, quilt shops were not exactly on his agenda for a trip. But they did amazing. I will post some pictures. They just did so good. They were mostly patient. I mean, my 14-year-old had some things to say and was a little grumbly at first. But once he realized no matter how much he grumbled, we were going to be there for a couple of hours, he kicked it in gear and he was okay. They spent some time at the Man Cave in Missouri Star. They've got a little shop set up with lounge chairs, and the boys just enjoyed sitting there and watching the TVs with the other guys that were there. They met some dogs that were there, some service animals, and some older gentlemen there were so nice to just allow them to interact with their service dogs while they were hanging out and waiting for their wives. So all in all, it worked out great, and I am so proud of my kids for the whole trip, for just being so good, and especially at Missouri Star for having some patience. So let's get into it. Enough of me babbling. One of their shops is an accessory shop that is really focused on purse and bag making. I did a lot of purse and bag making before we moved to Idaho. So it's been about 6 to 7 years since I've really made purses and bags, and I really miss it. And I loved going in the shop. And Sally Tomato is a pattern maker that is a little bit newer on the scene. I've been wanting to try her patterns, and Missouri Star had several purse kits. So I grabbed this kit. This is the Mia, and this colorway here in the yellow and blue, bright and sunny, reminded me of my bees and the flowers. So I got this Mia kit to sew up, and will be a fun time to try out the Sally Tomato patterns and line of accessories and get back into my bag making. So that Mia bag I got in that accessory shop. And then in the machine shop, one of the things that I had really wanted for a while now, and that I wanted to look at while I was there, it was on my list of 2 or 3 things that I wanted to for sure get, was a seam guide. And so I grabbed this seam guide, a little placement, and then you place these on your sewing machine so you know exactly where to run your fabric along. And I do have a 1/4 inch foot, but I think it's a little stretched out. So I thought I'd give these a try, and I was excited to get those. And then Missouri Star has also come out with some embroidery kits. They've got a wildflower one. I think there's kind of like, they're all floral-esque. I think they have 3. There's a Christmas one, then there's a yellow one that's like floral and bees, and then there's a blue one that's the wildflowers. And so this was an accessory meant to go with the blue wildflower one, Ingrid's Wildflowers. And I just thought the stitchy box and this needle minder, I just had to have them. So I grabbed that, and I waffled back and forth a lot about the embroidery set, and ultimately opted to just save that for another time, but was really interested in that. So I've got that needle minder. And then they have the butcher shop. It's the fabric market, and it's in the old butcher shop there on the main street of Hamilton, Missouri. And I think that's where the inspiration for the theme came from. But it's set up so cute. Look at the pictures online, so cute. Set up by color with all of these notions and accessories on the wall that you can grab. They have a button and clip area by, like you were getting penny candies. So you can fill up a bag. So I got clips, and then my kids picked out buttons, and we filled up this bag of clips and buttons. And then I picked up this little project bag as a fun memento. All of the cow parts are all different cuts of fabric, if you know about fabric. So fat quarters, layer cakes, and so on. I just thought that was so cute. So I picked up that bag to remind us of that. And then as part of that fabric market, they have like a butcher counter full of different cuts of fabric that you can pick out, and they will weigh them. And that's what this is. So I got this fun little butcher wrapped package full of fabric, a 1/2 pound of fabric. And so I'll open it here. Again, I kept it closed so I could open it with you all. They just the marketing and advertising and presentation of the things at Missouri Star are just incredible. So I'm sealed with a little sticker. And they also gave me a few extra stickers from the fabric market here that I was able to grab. But there you go. It's just, I did oranges and purples and reds and yellows, I think. We got some Halloween. I was just feeling Halloween and fall for some reason. That's what was calling to me, so that's what we went with, even though it was June and summer. So I did 2.5 inch strips so that I can do them in strips, or I could do them, cut them into squares, do some project bags. Sorry about that ruffling. And be creative there with that. So, okay, and then I don't remember what shop this was in, but I will also post a picture of the tablescape they had set out. So they had a beautiful tablescape, and they had used this pattern. This is the Missouri Star Dining Tabletop Set, and it's a runner and table mats and napkins. And what they had done is taken that blue embroidery wildflower, the Ingrid Wildflower set, and they had embroidered flowers along here. I will insert a picture here so you can see that. So I grabbed this pattern because I was like, oh, well, whether I do exactly what they've done or not, I love just the table set, so that would be fun to sew up anyway. And then seeing how they embroidered it, Like, oh my goodness, that is darling. So there should be a picture here sometime along while I'm talking of that table set and how they use that embroidery. And then on that table set, as part of that table set, my husband saw these spoons. And he's like, you need that set. And I waffled back and forth and was like, well, I don't know, to use them, and I really want fabric. Do I get the spoons? My husband's like, I'm getting them for you. So he grabbed them and he went and purchased the spoons. And they are these just darling spoons with the bee. And so these will be great little jelly condiments spoons. I don't know if that's focusing very well. There we go. So I have a set of 4 of those spoons that were laid out there on that tablescape. So cute. So that was his, I'm getting this for you item. Okay. In their main store, I also, oh no, I've put it in my bag and squished it a little bit. I picked up their latest block magazine. And it has all of these different projects and quilts included in this magazine. I love their magazines, and they're inexpensive. This is $8. $8. And you can get this on subscription, or you can buy it from the Zuri Star Quilts website. They have everything from table runners. Here's an English paper piecing project to add to a shirt, a couple of table runners, full-size quilts. So a project in there for everybody, and super inexpensive. You can't buy one pattern for that price. The table runner pattern and table set pattern I just showed you, I think was $8. On sale, I got it for half off. I think it was $4. But that's a great deal, especially if you actually use the patterns. There's the trick, right? Okay, and then I think most everything else that I picked up are fabrics. So this is Botany by Moda. And I don't know if it matters too much if I flip through it, if you can see that, but Riley Blake puts on the back of their charms all of the patterns. And as far as I can tell, they are the only ones that I saw so far that put all of the patterns on the back. But beautiful line there. And then I picked up this Patriotic Sweet Freedom by Riley Blake by Beverly McCullough. So there's the front, and see, there's Riley Blake's. All of their different patterns are on the back. Isn't that so nice? Then you can see all of them that are included. And then this Andover, I don't know what the line is or anything. This is how it came. My daughter actually won this as a prize in the Plinko game they were doing out on the street. So that's an Andover line. I don't know the name or any other information about it, but there you go. So those are my 5-inch squares. And then my boys each won a fat quarter of these fabrics. This is a jet plane, and then just some kind of a tribal sort of print. So we got those 2 fat quarters that my boys won in Plinko. Okay. And then I got some Tula Pink. This beautiful owl in this blue colorway. I'll open it up a bit here so you can see. There's part of the owl. There we go. And I am hoping to make a bag, either a project bag or a purse or a tote with this. So that's Tula Pink. And then we also got this bee pattern that's also Tula Pink. And then matching just patterns. There's a green with a bit of a teal check, and then the blue with the gray. So see how those match there? This one with the bees, and then this one matched the owls. So for the linings and accent pieces there on that for the Tula Pink. And then if you've watched me for a little bit, you might know that I love chickens and bees, okay? We happen to live in an HOA community, even though I have 3/4 of an acre and I live out in the country. I literally have a cow pasture across my street. There are cows running in the fields across from me right now. We cannot have chickens because of the HOA rules. So that's a thing for me, but regardless, I love chickens. So we came across this beautiful chicken fabric, this chicken line, Morning Serenade by Susan Wingate, and by Wilmington. Yeah, Wilmington Prince. So I got a fat quarter bundle. And this was a pretty decent fat quarter bundle. Sometimes when the bundles include like their big lines, they're like twice this big, and that's too much. I can't do the full quarter bundle, but I could here. So there's the chickens in a blue, and then there's some accent fabrics. There's the chicken wire, some florals here. It's hard to see when they're all bundled up, but I had to have the full line again to do some bags, do some accents, maybe even make the tablescape and tablecloth placemats out of something like this for a fun summer tablescape. And then my last 2 lines, I got a strawberry line so I could make a strawberry project bag for my strawberry stitching. So cute. I have some whips that are strawberries, so they can go in this. Just loved this one. So cute. So I can look at the selvages if they're here and find out probably for you. Yep, I should. This is Timeless Treasures. It just says fruit. So there you go. And then Missouri Star has their own fabric line with their logos and Chuck the Duck and different Missouri Star things. So that's my memento fabric, something that would last a long time, is the fabric from Missouri Star. So there's Chuck, and we got them all in the teal colorways to coordinate with each other to make whatever we decide we want to make out of it. There's a fun floral, and then here's their logo, and then another floral, a more bold floral. So those are my cart hoppers from Missouri Star. If you get a chance to stop at Missouri Star, you totally should. And I am sure there are probably some stitching shops nearby. Missouri Star does not do cross stitch per se, but like I said, they had the embroidery kits and options there, which were just lovely. And they're starting to get a little bit more in that handwork as it becomes popular with the English paper piecing, but the embroidery. And their Christmas line of embroidery is so darling, and they have accessories you can add on, right, to make them into quilts. You can sew them into squares and then quilt them if you're a quilter and that is exciting to you and something you want to do. But just such a fun experience. Like, okay, well, now my dream has been realized. It just makes me want to go back again and again. So eventually sometime I'll have to take another trip to Missouri Star and also see some cross-stitch shops and things while I'm out and about as well. I kind of kicked myself. My daughter and sister went out to the Biltmore in North Carolina, the Asheville area where the Biltmore is, and they spent a day at the Biltmore, and I was just so tired of driving. I excused myself and said, no, thank you, and then realized Annabella's is out there. I could have gone and like not seen the Biltmore and spent my day at Annabella's, or I think there's another shop that's near in the area as well, but c'est la vie. It is what it is, and there are many shops and more time. I will have to go and see them. But I loved visiting Missouri Star. It was fantastic. So folks, that is all for me today. Like I said, in the next coming weeks, I should be more consistent in sharing with you my stitches and have more to share with you as I have more time to stitch. But I hope you are able to enjoy your summer, get out with family and friends, take some time for yourself. My husband and I have scheduled to go to the Primrose Cottage grand opening in St. George, Utah. We're in southern Idaho and St. George is in Utah, just south of us. For us to drive, it's about a 9-hour drive if we were to drive, which we usually do every spring. We spend our summer breaks down in St. George. But my husband and I, he's so kindly and graciously agreed to have our anniversary trip. Our anniversary is at the end of July, be to go see Primrose Cottage opening. So we are actually going to fly down to Las Vegas and spend the weekend between St. George and Vegas for the weekend and do some anniversary activities and spend a few hours at the Primrose Cottage shop on Saturday during their grand opening weekend. I couldn't quite make it happen for their grand opening day, but I am excited to be able to be there for the grand opening weekend anyway. So look forward to that coming up in about a month that I'll get to go do that. But otherwise, just enjoying our summer and the summer life. So I hope you are enjoying that as well. Get some time by the pool, just to stitch and relax, whatever you enjoy doing during summer. All right, that's all for now. Happy stitching. See you next time. Bye-bye.